All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Joe, the AI guy. Tonight's stream, we're going to be talking about kind of my journey in the world of data science, starting all the way back from realistically college to how I got to be here. But right now, I'm a senior principal data scientist at a pre-IPO tech company. I am an expert in AI, machine learning, and LLMs. I've spent about 10 plus years now in data science specifically, but I did not start here. I actually started at an IT help desk contractor. I graduated during the 2008 recession. I graduated in 2010. The job market was awful, so I took one of the only jobs available to me at the time, which was working as a contractor on a help desk until I could eventually find a role. It took about a year before I could find a job that would actually use the bachelor's degree that I got, and I started working as a data analyst. I spent almost 4 years at that job before I transitioned into consulting. I was working at a company that was doing Salesforce implementations. I started there also as a data analyst. Most of my work was migrating from the customer systems into Salesforce using ETL data pipelines, a lot of SQL, and kind of whatever tools that the customers had available to them. It was during that time that I had heard about big data, data science, and was trying to figure it out. It was still very new to a lot of companies at the time. I would be going to our meetups after work to kind of meet with the community there and learn more about it. I didn't really have much of a programming background at the time, so I was starting to look for online resources, and that'll be part of what I'm covering here today is all those tools, courses, communities that I found along the way to now, essentially. Eventually, in 2018, I got into my master's program for a master's degree in data science from UC Berkeley, but I was already working in data science within Salesforce. The company that I worked with that was doing those Salesforce implementations ended up getting purchased by them. And so I was still internally a technical consultant, and my job was to help companies kind of onboard onto Salesforce's data science platforms. I went through the Berkeley program, learned a lot of information there, got connected with a lot of really good people, and then graduated right at the end of 2020. In 2022, I transitioned to actually working at Amazon, where I was there for about 2 years before I got into the role that I did earlier this year. So I'm going to cover a bunch of the resources that I used along the way, my thought process on using that resource or tool. Did I find it to be actually useful or not? And then I'm going to kind of use a rating system based on the cost or the price of whether it's the program or the course, the necessity for it in data science nowadays. And then my recommendation will kind of pull all that together. So I'm hoping that this can help you develop your own path, so that way you can get a career in the data science world, whether that is data science, they're a data scientist, machine learning engineer. There are a lot of ways to help out the data science community that can help you get your foot in the door at a lot of these companies. So first things first, I got my bachelor's degree. Like I said, I graduated in 2010. I originally started as a physics major, but transitioned into information systems after nearly failing out of the physics program. I still graduated within the 4 years, but it was really a business degree that taught me the foundations for SQL and database, and it was a really good program. Nowadays, though, for data science, I would recommend, if you're still in a bachelor's program, to go more towards computer science and a lot of courses that would focus on development and algorithms. So that way you have a firm foundation to trying to get a data scientist role. The necessity for a bachelor's degree is really high. Just about every job posting in data science will require a bachelor's degree. There will be some exceptions for people who are further along in their career, but I'm going to assume that these are for people who are trying to transition into a data science career. And I would say you would definitely need a master's degree. When I was looking on LinkedIn, it's something like 60% of the job postings require a bachelor's degree. And as you get more senior, it requires a master's or a PhD for those roles. Those will go a long way in kind of checking some of those boxes when you're going through the hiring process. But I would say for this, you have to have a master's degree these days in data science. So I would give it the highest recommendation that I could give it. If it's a 5-star system and this is a 5 out of 5, you have to start here and work on having at least a bachelor's degree. If you're already graduated in another program, we'll cover some of the other resources that I learned along the way. So that way you can start your learning and begin your career transition. The first resource that I had joined were meetup groups. They are, it's on meetup.com. They are usually local to where you're at the time. So if you travel around for the work that you're doing, you can usually, when you're stopping in a city, check if there's any meetups to join. I would focus on like Python and data science communities. I'm here in the Atlanta area, and there are a few of them that are local. So if you're in any of the larger cities, you will have one there. Just go and check out. A lot of times what people are doing they are presenting talks on something that they're working on, whether that's in their work or what they're doing on the side. And a lot of them are really interesting. I spent a lot of time going to these. It's where I met, for example, the founder of R, the founder of Kaggle. They come out to these meetups, give talks, and it's a really great way to get yourself into the community and to really start learning more, because you're going to hear these topics and you're going to start thinking about it more and, oh, this is cool, or what can I do with this? Even if you don't get it right away with what they're doing, just go up and ask a couple basic questions. Just say, hey, I'm new to R, or I'm new to Python. I'm just kind of getting started out. What would you recommend for me? Very similar to what the course is, the point of this video to talk about. It will kind of give you places where you can go to learn more. There's a lot of great communities out here, and finding and joining them is a really solid first step to understanding and learning more. After meetups, I also started learning through Coursera. In 2016, I took a course from John Hopkins, or not a course, a specialization, which is a series of courses in Coursera from John Hopkins University. It was their data science, statistics, and machine learning specialization specifically. What that was, it was from John Hopkins University. It was 3 of the professors. It was asynchronous video, so it means you can watch at any point that you want. But there are weekly turn-ins for, I'm going to call them the homework, but the assignments or projects that you're working on, to make sure that you are progressing through the course. There are a few different versions, I believe. For Coursera, there's like a general sign up, and then right now there is it's about $50 a month for the thing, but you can enroll in multiple courses. But then that provides you access to TAs for it. So they will go through, they will grade homework, provide feedback. They will usually have some office hours that you can attend, usually once or twice a week. So that way, if you have questions, you can go there and ask those. It's something that I got in fairly early on, and I found it useful a number of times. In fact, I came back in 2021 to go through another project at the time, specifically to the statistics and machine learning specialization. That was entirely in R. That was what I was beginning to learn at the time. I hadn't really started learning Python. R is still being widely used in the data science community. It's mostly Python these days. I think when I was looking at it was like something like 55 to 70% of job postings on LinkedIn for data science have Python listed as a requirement. And then I think it's about 30 to 35 have R listed there. There is going to be some overlap. Sometimes they will have both listed just because they're trying to find whatever the person is more comfortable with to begin their development. I personally, in the roles, when I was first transitioning from data analyst into data science, I was using R. It isn't as extensible as Python, although it's gotten much better these days. And that's why I transitioned eventually from R into Python. It's what I use in my day-to-day work, but R is still a great way to get started. There's the tidyverse now in R, which is great. It kind of makes it easier for you to slice and dice the data, clean it up, and then begin your processing. And that specialization took me about 5 months of doing it regularly in the evenings. I would give myself about 2 to 3 hours every evening to work through those courses. And there was a little bit of time gating for the courses because it started new cycles every 2 weeks at the time. So I would essentially do 2 courses for about a month. And then if I had to sign up for a new course, like maybe there's a week or so where I'm taking 3 courses. So I'd be finishing those first 2 and then starting the next one. All in all, it was probably, I'd say, close to about 200 hours between the course materials and then the assignments that they give you or the projects to do it all. And so if you're looking at, about 5 months of time, 2 to 3 hours a evening, so about 20 hours. Yeah, 20 hours across the courses. You can see how, even on their site, they're saying it should take you, I believe, about 7 months to finish it. And at the time, that was one of the first and best programs of it. It was being taught by actual college professors who were doing the same course at Johns Hopkins University, which is one of the reasons why I signed up for it. At the time, I bought the whole bundle. It was about $350. Right now, it's actually part of the monthly Coursera subscription. So all you have to do is sign up. And like I said, when I was looking at it, it was about $50 a month to get it. And so if you can clear it in that 7 months, then you're right around that $350 price range. The sooner you get it, the better and more cost effective it gets to be. I would say nowadays, though, it's not a necessity to do this program, just because I would lean more towards learning Python if you were starting from scratch rather than to use R. Like I said, it just gives you more job prospects for what you can do out there. 50 to 70% of the postings are specifically looking for Python, and then also can extend to other areas as well. When you're getting into some of the deep learning, reinforcement learning, Python's really where you want to be for that. So overall, I would give it about 3 stars now, and that is just because it's in R more than anything else. And like I said, what I'm seeing for my role and what I generally see in the market is that Python is the better language to be in. But it's a good place to be if you're a learner. Like I said, it won't take you too long if you're doing this. Like I was doing this purely in the evenings while working my job. So if you're like a full-time student, you may be able to take this on and knock it out in a shorter time frame as well. And it does provide a lot of the key foundational pieces, regardless of what language that they're using. So you're going to talk about different type of models that you can build. What are just some of the different algorithms that you can implement. That it's kind of, in that way, it's language agnostic, but the assignments and everything will be in R. And then I mentioned I came back to Coursera in 2021. Then I took a program from Rice University. It's another specialization called Fundamentals of Computing. The reason why I started this is I wanted to get a better foundation for algorithms because I was interviewing for new positions at this time. I had already completed my master's program for UC Berkeley, but I felt that I personally was lacking on the programming side, really understanding the algorithms. From Coursera, it says there's over 100 hours of materials to complete. And for me, this took about 150 hours to about 160 to complete the entirety of the specialization. Every week, basically, for these, there's a project due. So if you're doing 2 courses at the same time, you're talking about you have 2 projects every week to turn in. Honestly, the beginner courses, I shouldn't say the beginning course, the beginning courses of the program were a lot of fun. Let me pull this up here on the screen. Oh, I was having the John Hopkins program. Sorry, this is the one from Rice University. There's interactive programming and then principles of computing. You can't do these part 2 courses without doing part 1 first. So if you're just first starting out, like what I did was I started with just the interactive programming. And then for the second month, essentially, I did part 2 and then part 1 of principles of computing. So I got through all of this in about 5 months' time. So it was month 1 was this one, month 2 were these 2, month 3. And then month 4 was the algorithmic thinking. And then you had to complete all of them at the time to do the fundamentals capstone. So that is really just because it's an exam that goes through everything that you learned in the previous courses. But they have it where you can only enroll in it, like I said, once every 2 weeks at the time. I would say, all in all, this was a good program. I was on the monthly subscription when this happened. So it took me about 4 months to complete it all, so about $200 to do it, which is really great cost-wise. I really felt like this helped me with getting the job that I got at the time at Amazon, and then also really helping to shore up my understanding of algorithms and how to actually implement them. So if you're newer to like computer science or programming or data science, I would highly recommend this course. If you can't get into a program, this is a great alternative to it. And for the cost and everything, like I would give this a firm 5 stars. Next up on the list was my master's degree. I got that from UC Berkeley. I went from 2018 to 2020. It was a formal master's degree program in data science. It was part-time in the evenings for me because I'm on the East Coast, but the program's on the West Coast. It took about 2.5 years to complete it all. It is like the top program in the United States. You have a lot of great instructors who are already working in the industry who are teaching essentially in their evenings. So I remember for one of my courses in machine learning, one of my professors was the principal data scientist at Uber at the time. So Uber, was really at its peak of its popularity, and here we were being taught by their principal data scientist, which you really cannot beat in terms of having a professor who is really at the cutting edge currently in the world and being taught a lot of those same foundational pieces. Another nice thing about the program is that it offers lifetime access to the materials after completing the program. So that way, if I wanted to refresh myself on it, I'm going to get the same version of the course of the students who are taking it that semester. There were also a lot of great connections that I made to people from within the program. As soon as you join the program, they try and set you up with a mentor. So someone who's already graduated from the program, usually very recently, and has begun their career in data science or even management afterwards. So for me personally, when I was getting into the program, I got set up with a mentor who was basically a manager of data science at his company. And he gave me a lot of great insight into what are the important points to learn along the way, make sure really to get involved in the community there. And then he just kind of talked me through his career path as he transitioned, because he was coming from a similar background where he had not started in data science and had kind of worked his way in there, during his time at the program. So he had actually made the transition into data science before he had finished his graduation. One of the caveats of this, though, is that the cost is extremely high compared to other ways, but I would still say that it is very much worth it. The necessity for a master's degree, especially if you're wanting to go into more senior roles, is very high. Almost every single senior position has a master's degree as a minimum requirement, and a lot of times they're looking for PhD students who have just finished up their PhD programs for those roles. But I can't stress it enough how great the community is. Just if you're wanting to ask questions, there's like I have 2 small children when I was doing this. So there was like a parents group talking about how they're balancing the workload of the program along with what they're doing at work, plus kids at home. There's also a very active community even after people have graduated. So the alumni of the program are very involved in a lot of the discussions that are going on there. So it's UC Berkeley, so it's right out in the heart of the Bay Area. They are really, though, kind of a global program. So even though I was based here on the East Coast, I actually got to meet with a group of people who were here in the Atlanta area. Not everyone was in the program at the same time, but they would still try and meet, basically every quarter through the year, just to kind of touch base on everybody, see what they're up to. And it was a good way to stay very involved in in the Berkeley community. So I would say there's a lot of great top programs, but if you're looking to go into a senior lead or principal role as a data scientist, again, this is another 5 out of 5. If you are still completing your undergrad, look into going into data science master's programs after you're graduating. It certainly does not have to be the Berkeley program if you're just looking to get a master's degree, but I would highly recommend one with a great community, and I can't recommend Berkeley enough. Moving on to a few other things that I had learned, actually in preparation for Berkeley, I was using Khan Academy. I took their AP College Stats course in 2017 just to kind of shore up my foundation. Part of this was to make sure I could talk well enough to these points during the interviews for the different programs that I was getting into. And honestly, at the time, they had like a free trial month for Khan Academy, and I completed it within about 2.5 to 3 weeks. So for the cost-wise for this, it was very cost-effective. There was no real cost to me. It is a beginner's course for statistics. It's the intent of the course is to prepare you for the AP exam for college. But if you are just entering like college or transitioning from another career path, I would highly recommend it. So if you're newer, I would say this is probably like a 4-star on the list. And then if you've already had a bunch of statistics courses, I would say maybe like a 1-star. It's good to refresh you, but it's not something that you would need to really come back to after doing it. Let's see what else. In preparation for job interviews and everything, I would say the 2 biggest resources that were not part of the master's program would be Leetcode and Hackerrank. I personally heavily used Leetcode. In fact, I was signed up for like their premium. At one point, I had even like reset my account because I had answered so many questions that I wanted to kind of start fresh when I was going through for the second time through when I was transitioning after my time on Amazon. So across the lifetime for Leetcode, I had answered about 1,700 questions. My initial intent for it was when I started using it in 2019 was to get more comfortable with Python. I had really done a lot of work in SQL when I had been working in my career and then for my undergraduate degree. But I really wanted to get comfortable with the questions that I would be facing from the tech company interviews, which were focused around using Python and then algorithmic questions. Another nice thing is that when you're signed up for the premium program, it gives you access to mock interviews. So let's say I was interviewing at Facebook. I could say, give me a Facebook mock interview. It would pull 2 or 3 questions that it would have in its preparation and say, okay, you have 1 hour, answer these 2 or 3 questions, and then it would give you feedback and a grade. And then if you were premium, you could actually do interviews with people. I think you had, like I did it twice, where someone would actually sit with you on the call like you would be when you're interviewing at a company and give you those same questions and give you like active feedback during the process. Right now, the cost is about $160 for premium for a whole year. I would say that this is definitely worth it from my experience. I was every night or every morning at the time for about 3 hours a day, I was going through and doing Leetcode and Hackerrank problems. And I felt at the beginning, it was really challenging to do these, but then I got more and more comfortable as I was going through them. I guess I should update the screen here to here. This was for my completion rate when on the most recent interview spree that I had earlier this year. So I can't really stress enough how great it made me feel in preparation for the interviews. And if you have the time to invest, it really becomes cost effective. And when you consider the jumps in salary, like if you're going into data science first time from another field, as long as you're basically not already a CS or engineer, the increase in your salary will be pretty massive. And this is personally what I felt a great way to kind of build up my confidence going into those interviews. So I was way less nervous and felt way more prepared going into them. So I would give this a firm 5 stars here. I personally, like I said, used Leetcode. Take a moment after this and I'll go through how I used Hackerrank. But I loved it. And then, like I said, I'd even gone to the point where I had wiped out my progress just so I could start the questions over again fresh when I was going through my most recent interview cycle earlier this year. So next is Hackerrank. And like I said, it's very similar to Leetcode. I use both simultaneously. So really split it however you feel most comfortable. For the most part, I was using Leetcode and then I would use Hackerrank. They had this 1-month prep kit, which is what I used in going through and trying to complete most of the challenges. If I didn't feel that they were going to be relevant to the interview, then I just skipped it. You don't have to do every single problem here, but try and get it as far as you can in them, because it should, at least if you're able to answer the question, you should be able to then improve upon it the next time. Think about ways that you can get to the answer more quickly and more efficiently. And that is part of the transition, I would say, from like a junior or a regular data scientist role into a senior data scientist. So the mock interviews on both were great. When I go think about Leetcode, one of the feedbacks that I gotten from my mock interview person was you have to think about the person there, not only as them judging you, but also as a resource that you can use along the way. It's, you know, they're asking questions, but you're allowed to ask them questions back too about that problem. So that way you can kind of use it as a sounding board and then pay attention to their reaction, because they'll usually indicate to you if you're starting to get a little bit off track. And I found that very helpful in kind of calming my nerves down about the interview process. And once I started talking to them, it became more conversational. Whereas my first couple interviews, I would sit there kind of quietly while they gave me the problem. I would ask maybe a few basic questions, but then I would try and only approach the problem from whatever thoughts were in my head, rather than saying or vocalizing those thoughts out and getting the feedback to know, am I already off track, or is there something I could be doing better, or am I actually going the right way that it should be going? So Hackerrank, I would say, About a 3-star, honestly. I only had the free account on here. I didn't pay for any of the additional stuff, which was nice. So, cost-wise, that's outstanding. Really could not say more high praise for these things, especially if you're feeling some of that imposter syndrome, which I've had for really years. I'm just starting to get through those, and I've been in data science, like I said, for over 10 years already. Take a moment here and drink some water. And I'll just go and check the chats. I'm saying the screen is gone. Okay. 1 second. Try and fix that up. All right, there we go. So next up on the list of resources was Udacity. I had signed up for their Intro to Machine Learning course back in 2017. It was free. It still is. You don't need to do anything other than to sign up for an account. It was very beginner friendly, but I would say that I honestly don't remember a whole lot around the course here. And so I would overall rate that pretty low because I had remembered a lot about the other programs. But for this one, I had barely remembered that I'd even had my account here, let alone that I had gone through and completed this course. So it says there's 17 lessons here, and each one should take you about 2 to 3 hours to get through. So you're talking about 50 hours across all the materials here. But it is a free resource that you can use. But personally, I couldn't tell you much about it in terms of a recommendation because I don't really remember. Don't remember what was going through here. The next up is Udemy. A few times a year, they have sales on different courses, and you have to buy the course here. There's no subscription for it. I looked through, and I had actually bought 5 or 6 different courses over the years. I'd say I spent probably about $20 on average for these courses. So the only one that I did complete is the one I'm showing here, which is the Automate the Boring Stuff. It's also a book as well. It's not very long in terms of how long it will take you to go through all the videos. It's roughly like 10 hours of video there. But when you have this going along with the book, it's really nice. It's a really nice course for getting you to think about how to use Python as a way to free yourself up. So specifically, this was targeted at people who work in offices or who are like administrators, and you just want to use Python in a straightforward way that will help to take some menial or repeating tasks and help you to just have the program run them, and you don't have to think that much more after that. And the other 4 courses that I had in here were data science courses that were taught by folks who basically had put together their own programs. I had started, I think, one other one here. Yeah, Machine Learning A to Z. But at the time, I just had so many other resources because I bought this back in 2017 that I didn't particularly go through the entirety of the course. I really did like the intro videos, and then was moving more into stuff to prepare for the exam for the master's programs. So that covers a lot of the tools and courses. There was one other one that I had used more recently, and that is from Deep Learning AI. This is Andrew Ng's company, which they partner with a lot of the AI community to create courses. So the courses that you have here will be from Hugging Face, people from Google, from Meta. We're teaching you how to use a lot of the LLM models that are here. I'll just go here into the course list. So like what I had done personally is when I have something that I need to learn about quickly for work, this is great because they are putting out courses pretty quickly and generally keeping up with the trends in AI. So like agents are a more recent topic in AI and LLMs, and they already have courses on how to go through and set it up. There's also great introductions to some of the more widespread models that you can use. So Llama 3.2 released a few weeks ago. There's already a course here on how to use all the new features, and that's done by Meta themselves. There's also a number of other courses in here that I think are good. Yeah, so here's the Gemini one, how to improve accuracy for LLMs. If you're really moving into the LLM space, I couldn't recommend this enough. A lot of them are completely free. You just have to sign up for an account, and are great ways to learn and actually get hands-on experience with them. When you go into these courses, they actually have Jupyter environments available for you to go in and start coding right away. So as the video is going along, you can then code along with the video, which is great in terms of making sure you're getting familiar and getting the active practice along the way. Another good community resource is Kaggle here. They regularly have competitions going on. If you're newer to data science, I wouldn't jump into any of the recent competitions. They actually have a curated group of competitions that are here. They will usually have introductory sections to talk through how to approach the problem, what you can do to supplement your data, ways to get good baselines. And if you're just beginning in data science, I would focus on that, understanding what their approaches are to the problem and just getting a baseline model out there. A lot of times you can get 80% of the learning from this 20% of the work. After that, you're going to be needing to do iterations. Nowadays, they have notebook environments that you can use on Kaggle that help to limit, because for a long time period, there were people who they could just throw large amounts of compute at the problem and kind of win through that, where they've kind of leveled the playing field now, where everything has to run within the Kaggle notebook environments. So it's a wonderful way to learn because everyone has to publish their code. They don't necessarily have to publish the complete code, but oftentimes there are notebooks that can get you most of the way to top responses, because people are just excited to solve, or not necessarily solve the problem, but get good results and talk with one another. So really good community overall in Kaggle. And then, like I said, as you get more comfortable, you can go from the newer competitions to, let's say there's something that you are interested in, and then you can jump into that competition. Like, for example, I'm really interested in sports. Every year, the NFL sponsors the Big Data Bowl. You're going to go through, I think one year it was trying to predict a kick return based on some of the actual play information. So you're getting real data from the NFL for these competitions. You do have to do some cleaning up. I think there was one year you were trying to predict not just whether it would be a pass or a run, but about how many yards that the play would result in. And it looks like this year there's another one going on. Google has one now, right now, so you're going to create variants of their Gemma model for specialized reasons. But for now, if you're just starting out, I would really go to these new competitions and use them just to get your feet wet. And there's quite a lot here, and it grows over time. So as the as the competitions finish up, you will get them then transitioned here. Like Titanic, this one's probably like 6 or 7 years old already, where it was one of their initial competitions, and then over time, they've kind of made it. These are the evergreen competitions, if you want to think about it that way. They will always be here, and they're great. And like I said, just go into these and then get an overview, read along, follow along with these videos, and then go to either the discussion or the models. Here will be notebooks that people have already done work on. So you can see, some of the top models here, and then discussions where people will, you can search through these, but they will provide their notebooks for how they approach this problem, if they use any other data that they could get out there, just to getting competitive. And your goal, I would say, for your first couple of projects is to just get it done. Don't even try and compete for the leaderboard. You can obviously, after you have gotten the project done, try and do more to compete here, but just get it done. That already in itself is making yourself a competitor in Kaggle. It's also significantly improving your skills in data science or machine learning or AI. It gives you a target to work towards, and then do join the communities. There are, I know this says the official Discord channel. I'm in the Kaggle Discord. It's a great way you can get in there, chat with people, and find a group to work with. There will be teams that will work together on it. There, you can also be part of their like study groups. Essentially, they are a group of people who aren't joining a team together, but they're agreeing to kind of check in with everybody and hold each other accountable. You can use also some of the general chats just to, there's like recent submissions, ways for you to get more involved with the community. So like I'll go here. This is the Python Discord that I'm showing, but it's a very active community. I had this open from earlier today, and already there's been 50 messages since 1 o'clock when I opened this up earlier. A large variety of discussions or groups that happen, ways to ask for help. And this is just the general Python Discord. This is the Kaggle Discord. In the announcements here, they talk about what each of the competitions are going to be. There's also things that like they're doing community services or community surveys, and a lot of general services. Come in here when you first join, introduce yourself. It's a great way to just kind of read through other people, and you'll find that there are a ton of people who are here just because they're curious and they want to learn. And I would say really embrace that along the way, so that way you can go and make that transition for yourself. Your goal in the transition to becoming a data scientist is to just get comfortable. And so the best way to do it is to join a community. Don't be afraid to ask questions. A lot of times these are very well moderated communities that you're not going to have somebody being like, oh, you're so dumb for asking this. People are genuinely looking to help you to better understand those. So if you're Kaggle, you can ask in the, you can just sign up, do a post in here. You're talking about like people are asking about overfitting, things like that, looking for team members. These are all great ways to kind of get yourself started in the community. And the first step is just to get yourself into the community. Again, if you're doing Kaggle for the first time, just complete some of these beginner, I'm going to call them beginner, the introductory competitions. One, so you can get your mind into thinking about these competitions, how to approach them. And as you do this, you'll find yourself becoming more and more comfortable with data science in general, and kind of open your mind to what different possibilities are. And you'll actually see from a lot of the discussions here, there are a lot of people with a lot of different approaches to it. There's not going to be, there's not necessarily one right solution to a lot of the problems that we encounter in data science. We are trying to find ways to explain things that aren't easily explained. And so I would say, once again, just kind of get out there and get improving, and just try for those first couple to get completed, and then start to find a community within the group. And then that's when you can start to approach putting together a team to go out and tackle leaderboards, because you'll find out there's a wide variety of competitions here that all require different skill sets to compete well. And so you'll want to then find kind of a team that not everybody's got the same skill set, which is great, because then you're learning from one another along the way. Same thing when I was in a Berkeley program. I was in with a wide variety of people, and every project, people would pick their strengths as the area that they wanted to go work in. And then we would learn from one another along the way, where we would talk about what we're doing, why are we doing it this way, and then ask them for feedback. So that way, if it's an area where you're kind of stretching yourself into it for the first time, or you're trying something new, see if anybody has anything else that they would try, and then try and incorporate those. A lot of data science here is you get a lot of work in kind of setting up your initial pipeline, your data cleanup, your first model. And then after that, it's a lot of iteration. And you're going to find the best way to, or at least I find the best way to do these, is have a community, because once you're being active and engaged with those, it kind of feeds itself into doing more and more and more. Because you'll want to, you'll want to learn more, or you're getting feedback, and you'll want to incorporate those feedbacks into what you're doing. And kind of the same thing in your career transition, where you want to get into data science. Well, this is the first step here. Get in, get some basic understandings, and then get in with the community and begin to learn and engage with that community. So I would say, all in all, if I were to approach this again from the beginning, I would definitely start with a formal technical degree. So my bachelor's is in information systems. If I could go back knowing that I wanted to be in data science, I would start in a CS program, and then make sure that there are stats courses. I'm sure nowadays in bachelor's programs, they already have probably machine learning specialties that you can go in. You get all those same CS courses, plus you get the background in statistics and machine learning. If you're someone who's already graduated college, then and you're coming into CS for the first time, well, then make sure you get those foundational CS courses. Specifically, you want to focus on your programming and algorithmic understanding. There are a lot of great programs out there that you could even take a master's degree. I know Georgia Tech has one that is relatively cheap. I want to say it was a few years ago. It was between $5,000 and $7,000 to complete it, but you could do it purely in the evenings. I had actually gotten into the program after Berkeley, but then I started my work at Amazon, and there was too much to balance between those, so I let go of the program. But if you can get into it, you're talking about you're 1 to 2 years away from completing it, but you can always, at any point during the program, look for roles in data science. In general, the job market right now is pretty tough. And that, I think, is just because a lot of it is being compared to, I wouldn't say pre-COVID, but the swell in hiring after COVID had started to reduce its impact on the economy. Not necessarily that you could be out and about, but A lot of the big tech firms had hired on massively during that time, and then more recently, Elon Musk famously bought Twitter and then laid off, was it like 80% of the staff? And a lot of companies were starting to reevaluate after that time. How much staff do we truly need? Personally, it's a tough market to find roles. I know I was just trying to put together a little bit of research. Looking at LinkedIn right now, there's about 6,000 jobs that were posted globally in the last month for data science roles, and then like 2,000 of them were already like senior positions. So about 1/3 of the market are senior principal or lead roles, which do require a master's degree. So those are a little bit harder if you're only have a bachelor's, but you can start to program and then apply for those roles. And you can talk through them at the time. A lot of times, it's really just about clearing that initial hurdle of the screening process. For me personally, when back in 2022, when I was looking to transition, I had put out about 150 applications. I had gotten it was 12 interviews at the time, 12 first round interviews, so not even through the whole process. And then I had a few competing offers, but I took the Amazon offer. I had 3 offers at the time. Versus at the beginning of this year when I gotten hired, I was interviewing basically with a lot of the same companies, but it was much more challenging. Like I was interviewing at Google for a role in their Gemini team because I was, doing a lot of work on my own in LLMs and thought that would be interesting. So interviewed there. I was interviewing with Microsoft, and I was interviewing like with the company that I ended up at now. And I had put out, I had a spreadsheet. It was like 212 jobs that I had applied for. And then the response rate, not even just to get the first follow-up interview, was extremely low. How I found the role that I'm in now is actually that one of their recruiters had reached out to me because they had seen my posts on LinkedIn where I was talking about LLMs, things like keeping your data secure to them, really just kind of being active was what led to me finding this job rather than me going out and doing a bunch of applications. And that's why I say one of the great things about the Berkeley program is the community. You have a lot of people who are willing to refer you for some of the jobs, which increases your odds pretty significantly versus when you're just kind of cold applying through LinkedIn job postings or site postings. It's, I really can't overstate enough how great it is to have somebody who can refer you for these job postings and then provide you a solid referral, because that is, or right now the market is just really tough to find roles. And so this would be a great way to, I don't want to say necessarily skip a step, but help to bring you to actually humanize seeing what your resume looks like and evaluating that way, rather than it being most likely being filtered out. So that, I would say, is kind of a high level overview of all the tools that I had used along the way. A lot of the communities here. Like I said, the first step is just, if you're doing these, go to Kaggle and just try and go join one of the basic competitions here and just see how you're thinking about the program or thinking about how to solve the problem. Next step from there would be to go into the models and discussion and read what other people are doing. And this way you can get an idea or a better understanding of how to, not just how to approach the problem, but how to think about certain roadblocks that you're going to hit along the way, right? Every model has a use case, but you need to make sure that you are using it at the right time, or else it won't really serve you well. It might get you part of the way there, but it won't get you to like a full or more robust understanding. And then, like I said, find study groups or an accountability buddy, just somebody who you can check in with regularly to help each other, making sure that you're going through and you're completing your work. Personally, like at the beginning of this year, I joined the Hugging Face group. One of the great things here is like you introduce yourself. There's a group here to ask for help. There are a variety of different groups that you wanted to go into. Like I personally like using reinforcement learning. It's always been like a curiosity. In fact, one of my more recent videos was trying to train AI to Pokemon. I had to actually stop that for this to go live because my computer couldn't really handle running that while trying to do this. But you can see here, like, oh, study group. These are people who are like reading through, or they're finding things that are interesting and sharing it out with you. And then there's, I made this. So somebody who put together a project of their own, they want you to look at it and, just kind of share that they completed something. And it's great. The community, like I said, is very active, and it's pretty awesome to kind of get that. All in all, I think it helps to build your confidence. You're also getting great experience because you're actually going through and doing the work, not just in like completing a course way where there's usually a very defined process that they want you to follow, where now you can follow your curiosity. And for me, I think that works far better than just doing it to complete the course, because now you can follow your passions, your interests. And that really becomes a force multiplier to getting things done. And then you can reach out to the community if you've hit a roadblock or you're stuck on something, and then hopefully get a quick response, and then you're back on the process again. Same thing for Kaggle. You go to the discussions that they have in each of these, and you might get a new perspective on how to do it, or it triggers something in your mind of, oh, I didn't think about that. Maybe I should implement that in mine as well. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Honestly, before all this started, I was pretty nervous in doing this, just because, like I said, some of that imposter syndrome, where even though I do have 10 years of experience or 10 plus years of experience in data science, I never feel like I know enough, and the speed of the area moves so quickly. It's hard to truly know everything, and then being comfortable with not knowing all that. It takes a long time to come there, especially if you are transitioning from another career or a career path that is different. So I'd say try and get some experience, do some of the courses that I had recommended. If you're already preparing for job interviews, again, Leetcode and Hackerrank are great for getting you prepared for those. Really lean into those mock interviews. If you're just trying to begin to learn and transition, well then figure out what it is you need to know to join it. If you're starting at the very beginning, start with statistics, and then the foundations of data science, transition into things like machine learning and artificial intelligence, and then work your way up to LLMs. I know LLMs are extremely popular in the area right now. Deep Learning AI has a lot of the great courses to get you started. A lot of them are beginner friendly, so they will teach you kind of how to get started. But you're not going to fully understand that if you don't have a good foundation or understanding of things in data science. They will introduce you to the concepts, but then go out and explore and I would say be a voracious reader in things, and then get active in the community. Like I said, these Discord groups are great at being able to quickly ask questions and get better understandings of things. And don't be afraid to ask the questions. You're here to learn, and the best way to do that when you're not getting it is to ask a question and understand that whenever they're responding to you, it's so that you can learn more. So that's all for today. I hope you got great use out of this. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or comment on the YouTube videos. I'll answer them or navigate you to the best resources that I can find for them. I think the data science community in general is pretty embracing of people and has generally been pretty awesome to me. So I'm hoping to be able to give back to the community. So I'll use the next couple minutes to just check on the different chats here and see if there's anything. So again, thank you guys for coming and have a great night.